have to teach by our curriculum history. You can do it with a textbook, eh? Page 3. You read. I have 5 questions. Do you know the answer? Yeah. Do you know the answer? Oh no, I have no idea. Oh, you have to be listening very good. That's not what we're doing. Yeah? But you have to teach. So you have your curriculum. Something have to be taught. This is a teacher goal. And the teacher goal is current events in historical perspective. We are going to work with a timeline. And we work with activities about what touches children. What is significant, is meaningful, and it must be functional. Then you are going to do research activities, and you stimulate the children with the question, what if the public transport stops? They have to be creative thinking. Always make questions so children open their mind and think with you. Sometimes history is rewritten, eh? So children must be aware not everything you read or hear or see is true. So you always need more to know what is it. So historical thinking is investigating events to understand what has been done. So if you want to understand it and feel something with it, have empathize with a different period. Because then you think, oh wow, we have been with Professor Cheng to Penghu, and that was where the Dutch people 400 years ago came with their ships. And then I was on top of Snakehead Island, I think it is, Snakehead Island. And there was, in old time, there was a fort where the Dutch came. And I was standing on top to watch the Taiwanese Sea. And I was thinking, 400 years ago, wow, how impressive for me it is still after 400 years. But remember, they came with wooden ships, storms, thunders. They had no typhoon alarm. They just went. Build understanding about that period. Try to understand what happened then. Imagine. What was it like back then? How was it 400 years ago? If you look from Penghu to Taiwan, now you see the skyline, eh? Imagine, there was no skyline. And why were certain developments, objects and people so important? Why was it so important? And experience what a transition has meant for the people. What was the impact of what happened over there? What was the impact? If we were not sent away as the enemy, but we were still here after 400 years. What language did you speak there now? Yeah. We could understand each other. No, but it's only an idea, eh? You know, it makes it more interesting if you have more than a textbook. Are you already a little bit triggered by the story about Penghu and Snakehead Island? So if you want to know more about different periods, try to find photos and videos, old objects, old drawings, read stories, and read a book, a historical book about a period. The grandmother of my grandmother's grandmother, and starting with a current text, a problem. These are your time periods. You have 5 periods. We split the group into 5 groups. We give them big paper. Group 1, prehistory. You have groups. We are with 40, but how many children are in your classroom? The next step is they make from each period a poster with the content about the items we put together. So, medicine professionals, hospitals, symptoms, treatment. If you make the paper, you always need 3 sources, because TikTok alone is not enough. If the teacher is missing information in the children's work, you can give an interesting lesson about it. And always ask yourself as a child, this is out of the point of view of a child, do I think this is the answer or do I know? Fact checking. And then you all start working. You make copies of paintings, you hang them on the wall. Maybe you have some tools found in your grandmother or grandfather's house. You take them with them and you make a nice place for exposition. Maybe you find an old book with interesting items about it. You put it over there. Make it a nice exposition, so at the end you have your own museum about diseases. All those things must be found by children. Oh yeah, we don't suggest. We don't say, hey, take this. We only ask. Oh yeah, the library books. You ask me, do I prepare things? You can put books here, but what do we want to learn the children? Be self-responsible, find our own way. So maybe a child comes to you and says, I want a book about a hospital. I can't find one. Do we have a library? Do you have a library in school? Okay, then you say, oh, go to the library. Try to find one. So what we do? We went to the adults' library and we collected books about illness. So we go to the library and then I had a lot of books. And the child comes to me and says, oh, Janny, I am looking for a book, but there's nothing in the library. And then I said, oh, maybe some in the teacher's room or whatever, in the hall. Maybe there are some books. And that's a good idea. I'm going to look. Oh, wow, here are books. So it's not you who provided to the child, but it's the action of the child. But it can't be that a child says, I can't find anything. And then you say, no, you're prepared. You know when the museum is open and how to visit it. Because maybe a child says, oh, I want some paintings. And they say, oh, that's a good idea. Shall we go to the museum? Yeah, you must prepare the rich environment, but don't put it here. I say, please take. No, that's shopping, eh? Children do. And that's also a teacher goal. We do nothing, children do everything. But your preparation must be a 9. You have different students in your class. Yesterday or the day before they were questioned, what if children are not motivated? I think you can ask him, what do you want in this item? Maybe he wants to visit a hospital or go to a pharmacy and look how many pills there are, or helping in an elderly house for old people. Try to search what the child likes. You know, there's always something to find to help him. What would you like to do? What do you want to visit? What is your period? What can you do? The timeline has to be put on the wall. And then we are looking, is there a gap between the posters? Is all the information going to the next one? And then, if you are at the end in now, then you can think, what happened in the past? What is happening now? What can we learn from the past to use it for the future? So, if you finished it and everything is on it, we present it to each other, tell about your own paper, then you are solution focused for the future. Talk about it with the children, what is important for our future. And there are a lot of examples, items to use. Transport, music, life, art, rituals, languages, agriculture, education, religion, story, energy, all useful for putting it in a time lapse. So they learn a lot about the time where they are in. So you don't have to teach with books, you can do it like this way. And you can make the project as rich as possible. Creative, music, arts, nature, put everything in it and make it a complete, go out, ask experts, we already told what was happening, and you have a very nice project and celebrate it together, do it in the whole school, look what we learned.